After abandoning your crashing ship, nearly having your head taken off by a piece of debris, and then cooked alive in your lifeboat, you step out to the serene sounds of flying stingrays to take in a look of your surroundings. You're stranded on the ocean planet of 4546b. Ah, so this is Subnautica. Everyone talks about how hard and scary this game is, but it can't be so bad. I'm just gonna gather some supplies, get some tools, then I'll round up all the other survivors. Oh, but hey, look at that, help's already on the way. I just gotta survive until my extraction gets here. Well, I mean, what's next, a global pandemic? Oh god damn it. Well, it looks like we're gonna be stuck here for a while. And if we're gonna make it, if we're gonna survive, we're gonna have to learn this alien world, face our darkest fears, and dive down deep to discover everything to love and hate about Subnautica. One of my favorite things about Subnautica is how the game handles your progression. Subnautica remains at its core a story of survival against the odds. And while many games in its class handle progression with skill points that'll allow you to spec your points into health or learn how to craft new tools or equipment, Subnautica steers away from this tried and true style. And instead, it leans into the sort of progression by exploration approach. When you first land in your life pod, you land with only a few basic necessities and some basic blueprints. One of which being the handy-dandy scanner, the most marvelous piece of equipment to ever land into the hands of man. I mean, this thing is the Swiss Army knife of the future. You want to learn how to build that building? Scan it. That plant looks cool and you want to learn more about it? Scan it. You want to learn how this thing functions? Scan it. It's the future, boys. We don't need hammers to build shit. What are you, crazy? We got nanobots now. But the reason this is so cool to me is because this seems like it's the devs' way of going, look at this massive world that we've created for you. Go out there and check it out. It's a way of incentivizing you to reach past your comfort zone because you never know if that cool new blueprint or a piece of wreckage full of sweet loot is right over your horizon. Among other reasons to get you out deeper, which we're going to talk more about later. And as you scan these fragments of wreckage around your area and you gather materials, you begin to experience new parts of what the game has to offer, using the habitat builder to go from surviving from your life pod to building a full-blown underwater base, or finding vehicle fragments that will allow you to travel further away from the shallows, from the basic sea glide, this little thing that just lets you swim a little bit faster, to the Sea Moth, which is a full small submarine that can take you on longer distance trips and provides oxygen. The Prawn Suit, which is this awesome mech suit that you can attach all sorts of equipment to, like grapple hooks and mining equipment. And then every captain's fantasy, the Cyclops, this giant mini-base submarine that you can take on long distance voyages around the map. It can even hold one of your other subs to quickly explore a new area. And you're going to need it because the world to Subnautica is absolutely massive. I spent a lot of time in my playthrough going in each direction from my main base and building these little recon stations using the scanner rooms to try to get an idea of the map and what might be in each area. And even still, after over 2 full days of gameplay, I've barely scratched the surface on the mysteries of this one. The game has all these diverse biomes, ranging from the shallows to these creepy mushroom forests, down to the deep where there's giant crabs walking around. And then under all of it, you have basically another map, with the Lost River and Lava Zone caves taking up the entirety of the map size, but underground. And another thing I love is that Subnautica doesn't try to limit your exploration and corral you in a certain direction with invisible barriers or kill timers, with the only barrier being this vast bottomless void once you're over the edge, which you should definitely go check out.
You're off the edge of the map, mate. Here there be monsters.
And it's this feeling of no-limit exploration, this risk-reward of exploring further out and scanning more fragments to get these cool new equipment and building items, is what I think has so many players hooked on Subnautica's gameplay. And as you start exploring further and further out, As new crafting materials get deeper and the game builds up your confidence in the safe, shallow parts of the sea, and it incentivizes you to push deeper into the abyss, that's where I think Subnautica shows its greatest feature. I believe that the absolute greatest feature of Subnautica is how it takes on one of the most basic human fears, the fear of the ocean and the fear of the unknown, and uses it to its advantage to create one of the most thrilling experiences in gaming. Now, I think it's important here to talk about the difference between horror and terror. Horror is the emotional response to something that has already happened, while terror is the feeling of dread and anticipation that precedes a horrifying experience. Now, in a lot of horror games, those games will rely on these closed-in claustrophobic spaces that make you feel trapped, and they'll throw in a few cheap jump scares and maybe even make you scream in the middle of the night. But not Subnautica. Well, not most of the time. Subnautica uses the feeling of pure terror to instill this consistent feeling of dread in you at all times. And while most horror games take place in enclosed spaces, Subnautica's sea is wide open, with the vast darkness being the catalyst to your discomfort. It's the not knowing what might be around you in any direction until it's too late. Not knowing if there's a predator above or below you, just out of sight lurking in the darkness, makes this game a different sort of unsettling. And oh man, does it keep you on your toes through the whole game, with your only moments of respite being when you get back to your base in the safe shallows. Now, allow me to paint you a picture. It's nighttime, around 11 p.m. The only light in the house is coming from the TV. I'm out in the deep of the ocean with my headphones on so Mrs. Viking can sleep. I'm already on edge, just trying to collect some resources for some sweet new upgrade for a vehicle, when I hear one of these for the first time. Now, let me tell you, not only did I need a new dive suit, but it took every ounce of my being to not make me, a full Viking man, to not scream out loud and hide under the covers like a little bitch. And that is what I love most about Subnautica. I mean, let's give a round of applause to the developers real quick, because this is truly a devious move. You spend the whole game up to that point feeling somewhat safe, collecting resources, maybe fighting off some small fish here and there, but all in the safe comfort of the brightest parts of the ocean. And then Subnautica drops a bombshell on you. And if I had to give a game a rating based on its atmosphere alone, it would be a 11 out of 10 just for that design. And while there are some other threats like sharks and garfish and these weird eels that I'd love to talk about but I can't due to time, I'm instead going to talk about the apex predators of this world. Now, I'm going to take a moment to release a trigger warning because what I'm going to play next might shock a few Subnautica fans.
Detecting multiple Leviathan class life forms in the region. Are you certain whatever you're doing is worth it?
That's right, we're talking about the big boys, the Reaper Leviathan. Now, while there are bigger and even deadlier Leviathans that swim the seas of Subnautica, the Reaper Leviathan has become a cultural gaming icon when it comes to fear. And for good reason, because this motherfucker inspires pure terror. See, this guy only spawns in areas of the map that are low visibility, like the deepest parts of the ocean, the mountains, or around the Aurora crash zone. But even if you can't see him, you're going to hear him. And your first indicator that you fucked up is going to be an ear-splitting roar that just pierces through you in the dark. And if you have the displeasure of seeing him, well, he's already on you with these massive, creepy snake-like body with weird human-like skin and these giant mandibles. It's like a nightmare come to life. And to make it worse, they don't like to attack you head on. It seems like instead of rushing in, they like to wait and retreat back into the dark. And just as you think you're going to escape, wham! They grab you when you're not looking. And as the sweat beats down on your controller and your heart feels like it's going to fly out of your chest, man, it's an experience like no other. And if nothing else, this game is worth it for just those moments alone. Okay, so now because I've been proverbially stroking this game off pretty hard, now we're going to talk about some of the things that I maybe don't like so much. Number one, no multiplayer. Now, I'll admit this one I'm a little bit torn on, and here's why. Subnautica is right now a single player only experience. You've got the one world, one story, and that's it. And sure, you have things like a creative mode, and you can always do a new game, but it is only single player. And the reason I'm torn on the no multiplayer is because on one hand, I feel like being able to play with a friend or friends will enhance the survival game feeling. Survival games are more fun with friends. What's better than starting a new Ark tribe or a Minecraft world with your friends that you never seem to finish, but at least you have an awesome weekend playing? But on the other hand, I feel like having a friend around and it not being just you would kill some of that awesome tension like we just talked about earlier. It'd be kind of hard to be as afraid when you have a friend no-ballsing you into swatting that Reaper Leviathan on the ass.
Why are you running?
So, because I'm on the fence, I came up with a compromise. And if any unknown world dev sees this, just a little food for thought. What if the game, when you start, plays the exact same way that it does now? No multiplayer, just the experience that we have at the moment. Going through the game by yourself, so you get to feel all that anxiety, tension, and rush as you get further, right? But then upon completing the game, you unlock multiplayer sandbox modes, so you can just build a world with your friends. Kinda like how World at War Zombies, you had to beat the campaign first before you unlock the mode. And that way you don't rob yourself of all those emotions of the game. And you get to learn how to play and then you goof off. I even thought of a game start where it's more of just a randomized map and you're all in these separate lifeboats with random spawns, so you still have to get the basic tools and link up with each other. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but I'd like to have maybe just another mode so that way I'm not just sharing the experience with my cuddlefish.
Aww.
Number 2, the Janky Combat. My next problem is that the weapons in Subnautica all suffer from one of two problems. They're either extremely underwhelming or holy fuck, what is this overpowered? Take the knife, for example. Now, I'm okay with the knife not being too powerful, right? It's like one of the first tools you unlock. But can someone please tell me why in the name of the Sea Dragon is the melee combat so janky? I mean, look at this. I take the cursor, I put it right on the target, and then 50% of the time, it misses. I mean, what the fuck am I supposed to do when half of the time I'm being attacked, I'm just running around swinging wildly? It throws me off so much that half the time I get confused on whether or not I'm playing Subnautica or I somehow tabbed out into oblivion.
Yeah. Don't hurt me.
But I can deal with underwhelming way better than how ungodly overpowered the damn stasis rifle is. I mean, it sounds cool on paper, a gun that freezes an enemy in place, but the freeze on a charged up shot is way too long. It's like 10 seconds, and it sucks all the tension and excitement right out of a fight. And if you'll allow me, I'm gonna play a clip for you guys that completely changed my playthrough.
Now, if y'all want to live, if you want to survive, you gotta fight for it. I'm talking about fight right here, right now.
Now, this seems awesome. Now you have this way of eliminating Reapers and other threats. And I thought so too. After that fight, man, I got all hyped up and excited about it, that I finally killed this great threat. But it wasn't until after I used my recon bases to systematically hunt and kill every single Reaper on the map and then bask in glory over their sinking corpses that I realized something that I wasn't happy about. And it wasn't until long hours of pondering that the reason finally dawned on me. What kept the game exciting was the threat. And after I committed the mass Leviathan genocide of 2024, The game was pretty much just doing chores and tasks until the end. And I had this way of just easily dealing with what made every adventure so exciting and what kept me on my toes. And I felt a deep sense of shame and regret that I took one of the things that made this game so great and I killed it in what felt like a cheap way. So, in short, and maybe a little bit less dramatically, maybe in future titles, no stasis rifle, or at least tune down how powerful it is. Maybe we can get some better torpedoes or a harpoon gun. Just a little bit of food for thought. Now, if there's one thing that gets in the way of the awesome progression by exploration in Subnautica, it's how many duplicate fragments there are. And holy shit, there's a lot of duplicates. What a buzzkill in your exploration. You find a new wreck, your heart starts beating with anticipation. Maybe there's a new upgrade or a fancy new gadget. You break in, only to have your inventory quickly filled up by all the fucking titanium you're about to carry. From all the blueprints that you already have. I mean, come on, man. At least give me another resource. I get that you have to have duplicate fragments because the map's so big, but at least give me a little copper, maybe a little bit of lead, so that when I'm out exploring, I don't have to keep running back to empty out all this fucking titanium. And I know that's a small complaint, but it's just something that irks me a little bit. And now we get to the grand finale, the architect of all things that irk me. And it's that I hate the final zone of Subnautica. Now, it's not the area that bothers me. Oh no, the area is awesome. But it's the sheer amount of running around that I had to do was enough to make me piss myself harder than any jump scare ever could have made me. So to paint a picture, you get to the final area, assuming that you have all the depth modules already, and then you explore through the Lost River to find the inactive lava zone, the final area to go. Alright, everything has led us here, let's get it. So you go in, you find the first lava installation, you find the blue tablet, and then you spend another hour and a half looking for the second part of the installation, only to find it in a cave under the cave that you were in, with another sea dragon guarding it. But then, upon entry, you find out that you actually need 2 blue tablets to get in.
Actually, 2 bells of awakening.
Fuck, okay. So you run back, craft another tablet, and then you run back to the installation to find that this freaky friendly Leviathan says that she'll help you only if you fertilize her eggs. Alright, bit of a weird request when we just met, but fine, I'm down to party. And when you look at the recipe for the hatching enzyme, you find out that you need 1 plant from every corner of the fucking map. Ugh. So you run back. You get out of the cave, and then you gallivant around the map collecting plants from every corner of the sea until something dawns on you. You don't know what this last plant is. So, after about an hour of searching, you finally break down and look it up, only to find out that it only grows in the Sea Emperor's cave. Shit. Fine. So what do? Well, you mosey your happy ass on out, drive back to the cave, and then you run back down to collect the plant. And then after all of that, well, you put a fucking goofy little smile on your face, and then you run your happy ass back to a fabricator, craft the enzyme, and then run back. Go all the way back through the cave, put the enzyme in, and hatch the eggs. Oh, shit. Oh, and then this bitch dies for some reason. And granted, some of this was to do with the fact that I'm new to the game, but there's no way that the first time around that you would have known what you needed. And it just feels like this is an atrocious amount of running back and forth and back and forth and back and forth just to drag out the ending section of the game. Ugh. Anyways, now that we're cured of the bacteria, we can finally go shut off that big Death Star gun and then start gearing up to finally leave this place. And now, as the sun sets on the water world of 4546b, and you sit on your newly crafted Neptune rocket pad, you begin to ponder your experience. About how even after everything you've done, everything you've accomplished, How it still felt like you just barely scratched the surface of what there was to find. Like there's so much left for you to do, so much left to explore, but you know in your heart that it's time to leave. So you pack your gear, say goodbye to your new best friend, and prepare a time capsule for the next person who may find themselves stranded on 4546B. In this world full of mystery and intrigue, of life, of adventure, of terror and hardship. What an experience. And as you fire up the rocket systems and you sit in the captain's chair preparing for liftoff, you try to find the word to describe your time here. A word that, despite its flaws, remains true. A word to describe a feeling that this game gives you, that no review, critic, or YouTuber can make you feel. A feeling that you just have to experience for yourself. But I know the word. A masterpiece. A game that, despite its issues and flaws, and despite all the things that I hate about it, that I can't help but love. Kind of like Todd Howard. And a game that has woven itself into my heart as one of my top favorites of all time, with an atmosphere, setting, and style like none other. And that, my friends, is everything to love and hate about Subnautica.
Welcome home to all terror. Permission to land will be granted once you have settled your outstanding balance of 1 trillion credits.
Hold up. Wait, what? Oh, no. Fuck this. Hey, turn this thing around. We're doing this again.
Oh, hey. Sorry, I didn't see you there. I'm just studying up for the next video. So, if you guys want to see that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Alright, now click on the next video and give me some privacy. Creep.